Hi there, it's Claire, and welcome to this week's flow. If you want to join me in an easy seated pose, we'll get started. So if you grab your block, or sometimes you might want to use a blanket or a towel rolled up under your knee, your mat, a towel and water if you'd like, and then find yourself in an easy seated pose. We take these first few minutes to tune in to our breath. To turn our attention away from the outside world and reflect inwards. Relax your shoulders and your hands and your face. You can gently shut your eyes. It's normal to have good days and to have bad days. If you find yourself struggling, you might not have someone right over your shoulder there cheering you on. So it's important for us that we can shift into being our own cheerleader. So if you didn't get a chance to yet, definitely check out the positive affirmations presence practice from this week. But I invite you to call some of those phrases to mind right now. Something to lift yourself up right at the start of this practice. You can say them out loud or in your head. My go-to is usually, I am happy. I am healthy. I am loved. Take a few more moments. Call to mind some of these positive phrases. Feel your mindset shift. Feel uplifted. And you did that for yourself. Start to gently open your eyes, and we're going to start today with some gentle neck circles. So going slowly at your own pace, begin to rotate your neck as if the crown of your head was drawing a circle on the ceiling. Only picking a range of motion that feels right today. And you can switch directions. If you find a tender spot or a very tight spot, you can linger. A few more moments here. Again, observing the sensations you're feeling in your neck and in your shoulders. Now we're going to come to a seated cat-cow. So your hands are going to come on the front of your knees here. And on an inhale, you're going to draw your shoulder blades down and back. Draw your chest towards the front of the room. Draw your elbows behind you and feel this, you're pressing into your knees here. to help you to draw your shoulder blades back more and opening your chest. And if you want, you can even bring your gaze up. Now on your next exhale, you're gonna round your back into our cat pose. And this time we're holding on our knees here. And see if you can find some release in your upper back and across your shoulders. So find that sweet spot of balancing where you're holding onto your knees here. You're sending your weight behind you. And you can even bring your chin towards your chest. Then start to move between the two. Inhale, opening through your front body. Exhale, rounding your back. I feel a really nice release in my shoulders there. So kind of play around with it. Now you don't want to roll totally backwards and start to actually go onto your back. So again, this is finding what works in your body. We're starting to warm up our spine, our shoulders, our chest. A few more. We're going to come into a few side body stretches because I love them so much. I always try to bring them in. So we've seen these a few times. So freedom to just start moving with your breath. Our inhale, our arms come up. And then exhale, choose a side. One hand comes down. The other arm reaches up and over. Now you can stay, or you can right away just start to flow with it. Your inhale send you up and your exhale send you over. Remember to ground down through that opposite hip. Really makes a difference here. Really ride the wave of your breath here. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. A few more rounds here. We're going to meet in tabletop. So hands can come down, wrists underneath your shoulders. We can move through a few traditional cat-cows here. So again, when we inhale, we're dropping our belly, drawing our shoulders down and away from our ears. And our exhale, we're pressing into our mat and letting our head hang. Again, that freedom to move with your breath. Remember to always keep a slight bend in your elbows. And we'll meet in a neutral spine. This time we're going to send your right foot behind you. And we've seen this before too. We've got a combination of a calf and a foot stretch here. So you might notice when you kind of rock up onto your toes. Now you don't want to send your shoulders very far over your wrists. So you want to be mindful of the movement that you have. But you can come up onto your toe here and really feel a stretch through your toes and your whole foot. And then send your heel back and feel a calf stretch. So start moving back and forth from there. Again, I feel like our feet don't necessarily get a lot of love, but we're using them in almost every move. And then if you want to take it up to a next level, you can send your left hand out in front of you and even raise your right heel. Keep your hips square to the mat. This is going to start to warm up your core. Keep your gaze down at your mat. And really feel lengthening as you're reaching with your arm and pressing back with your heel. One more breath here. And back to tabletop. We've got our other side. So again, move with what feels right to you. When we're up on the ball mount of our foot, we're focusing on our toes and feeling that stretch through our foot. And then you send your heel back. Feel it more in your calf. Calves might be tight from booty hit. And then again, option to send your right hand in front of you as if you were going to shake my hand. And then if you want, you can raise your left heel and really just lengthen across your body here. And your left hip might be trying to pop up. Can you keep it square towards your mat? Pull your low belly up and in and activate that whole core. 2 more breaths here. And release. Let's meet in downward facing dog. First down dog of the day, so you do you. Again, when we pedal out our feet here and get a nice calf stretch. Option to take one leg at a time, lift it into the air, bend your knee, open your hip. Right away, just doing a scan of how your hips feel today. Make sure you're pressing equally into both hands. And when one side feels done, you can go ahead and do the other. Or if you have some other moves you like to do in your first down dog, do those. Each and every one of our practices is going to look different, and that's the beauty of it. Make sure you're really pressing into your fingers here. Drawing your shoulder blades away from your ears. And then walk your feet to your hands. You've got that first forward fold. Remember, keep a generous bend in your knees. Find that sway if it feels right. And again, you can always use your block here if you need that. I'm kind of drawing a rainbow around both of my feet, my fingertips dragging on the ground. This feels especially good in my lower back right now. And then we're going to rise up into mountain on our next inhale. So first we press down, then we rise up. So remember, in our sun salutations, we always check in that first time through. And again, remember, we're going from the ground up. Check in that your knees are still slightly bent. Check in that you're reaching towards the ceiling while still drawing your shoulders down. You can really start pulling in that Ujjayi breath in through your nose and out through your nose. These sun A's, we start to warm up, feel warmer. One more breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll stay here a few breaths. So again, maybe if you've got a mirror, you're checking in. You want that flat back. You want to be actively pressing in to the sides of your shins here. And that opens you up in the chest. Your tailbone is drawing behind you as the crown of your head is reaching in front. That's why I say we really lengthen in this pose. Exhale, fold. Let's halfway lift one more time. Really draw your belly button in towards your spine. Exhale, we're coming into high plank. Now, you choose your option here. You either meet us in downward facing dog. You come to your knees for your chaturanga. For your next exhale, we're lowering down chaturanga dandasana. Our elbows are shading the ribs. Inhale, we come to upward facing dog. Neutral gaze in front of you. Exhale to downward facing dog. Nice job. Let's move through 2 more sun salutation A's. Now, freedom to move with your own breath. You don't have to stay with me. Step to the top of your mat, halfway lift. Exhale, empty out and fold. Inhale, mountain. Send that energy up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga Dandasana. Skin to muscle to bone, we're hugging in. Upward facing dog, soft elbows. Downward facing dog. One more time, top of your mat, halfway lift. Then we gotta fold. Mountain rise up. And fold. Halfway lift. Flow through to down dog. Top of your mat, halfway lift. And fold. Chair pose. We're going right into our sun beads here. Maybe you're feeling a little bit warmer. Maybe you got a few beads of sweat. Keep channeling that breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Check in that you can see all 10 toes. And then really wrap your shoulder blades around your spine as if you're squeezing a pencil there. We're going to add a little bit of a twist to our chair pose today. So on an inhale, we rise up to chair. I'm going to turn to show you. On an exhale, you're going to sweep your right arm behind you and come into a twist. Maybe your gaze goes towards your right hand. So you're making a T with your hands here. Your hips and your lower half are staying the same. Inhale back to center. Exhale, this time your left hand goes behind you. And your neck can look at your hand or it can be more neutral. One more inhale. And fold. Halfway lift. Flowing through. So a little bit of a switch up on our traditional sun bees. Let's take our right side warrior one. So again, you got that 45-degree angle in the back foot. Square your own hips. Checking in knee over ankle. Right, we're probably mostly doing this by ourselves, so we have to be the ones checking in on our own alignment so that this can stay a safe and sustainable practice. Can you sink an inch deeper? One more breath in. Let's flow through to down dog. Got our left side. Again, this first time, set it up. Don't just drive by. Don't check out. Check in. Every day, it's going to feel a little different. You might need certain cues more on certain days. So again, just work from the ground up, and you can do this. Again, can you sink an inch deeper here? One more breath in. Just meeting down dog. We're going to go through a few rounds of those sun bees. Remember our chairs when we got the twist. So go ahead. If you know where you're going, go. Otherwise, feel free to stay with me. Top of your mat, halfway lift. And a fold. Our inhale takes us to chair. And then our right hand's going to sweep back behind us for this twist. Inhale back center. Got our left side. Inhale up. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Vinyasa through to down dog. Vinyasa is movement with purpose. Got our right side, warrior one. We've only got one breath here. Remember, these are these big movements. Top of your mat. Open as much as feels right. Come back down. Really a great way to get your hips warmed up. That's your left side. Again, you know where you're going. These look pretty much the same every week, and that's the idea. It's something familiar but effective, right? Like a push-up or a burpee. Top of your mat. Let's go. Got our chair to our twist here. Remember, exhales to twist. Can you sink a little bit lower? And fold. Halfway lift and keep that length as you step back. Or you're skipping this chaturanga, right? That's up to you. Or you're one on the right, root down, you rise up, and then travel back to the mat. Using that Ujjayi breath to move us. At the left side. And back down. Let's do one more. You move at your own pace here. You redirect that breath in through your nose and out through your nose. If at any point it starts feeling too intense, you drop down, you go into child's pose until you can come back to that breath. Got our warrior ones each side. Maybe you're taking a back bend with it. Heart opener. At the left. Top your mat, halfway lift. And fold. Chair pose. And stay. Just a few breaths. If you need a break, you go to child's pose now. Otherwise, let's get some core here. Take a breath in. Exhale, bring your elbow to your hip. Inhale up. Exhale over. You might notice the sweat. Just do a few more. So you feel a nice crunch in your oblique, but a nice side body stretch on the opposite side. One more each side. And release. Whew. All right, nice job. We're gonna come into a new balancing pose right now. So if you need to take a break to towel off, get some water, you go for that. And again, I keep saying it, child's pose is always an option. If you're like, whoa, this is getting too intense, reset. Okay, we're gonna come into a pose called eagle pose. It's a great stretch for your hip and your shoulders. Now, if you have a tender knee and you start into this pose and it's bothering you, you can come into that figure four, and if that's still bothering you, take a tree pose that works for you. So ground down into your left foot. You're actually gonna take your right leg and wrap it around your left. So you're gonna start at the top by really squeezing your thighs together. Keep your right foot flexed, toes towards your shin. And then continue to wrap it around. Now there's nothing that says you need to get your foot all the way on the other side of your leg. What you should feel here is your hips. Really squeeze your thighs together. And if you'd like, you can take the eagle arm variation. So I like to start with my arms out, and my right arm is going to wrap underneath my left. My palms are going to come to touch. If that's not accessible for you, give yourself a little hug here, or hands at heart center. It's whatever works for you. Now you want your hands drawing away from your face and your elbows in line with your shoulders. And you sink an inch deeper. Just a few more breaths here. Remember, find that drishti, that spot to focus on. Nice bend in your left leg. And release. You might have been feeling that in your hips. I especially feel that across my shoulders. All right, let's take it on the other side here. So again, first, rooting down on that right foot. Sending your left leg up and around. You might notice different flexibility in one leg versus the other. And again, your left arm, this time coming underneath the right. Elbows up, hands away from your face. I a lot of times see this. You want this. Square your hips to the front of the room or the long ways of your mat. Sink an inch deeper. We've got 3 more breaths. And release. Whew. Nice job. All right. We are going to meet on our bellies. So I am going to vinyasa there. However you need to get there, you do you. I'm going to inhale up. Exhale and fold. Inhale to that halfway lift. I'm going to come to this high plank. Hold for a breath or 2, just for that low belly action. And then lower all the way down to your mat. We're going to come into what's called locust pose. I see I am in the sunlight. So it's almost like a variation of Superman that we saw in our Monday workout. So this can be quite intense if you have a very tender low back. So you always have the option to come into more of the Sphinx pose, where you've got your elbows under your shoulders. If that's still too intense, walk your elbows out in front of you. Okay, just find a level that works for you. Otherwise, we're coming into locust. So chin on the ground, hands by your hips, palms face down, feet are flexed. And on an inhale, you lift your chest off the ground. Your fingers are reaching behind you. Your shoulders are drawing together here. And if possible then, for the next level, you lift your feet up. Really feeling this compression in your low back here. One more breath. Back down to the mat. We're going to do that one more time. Pick a level that works for you. Inhale up. Can you get your chest a millimeter higher off the mat? 2 more breaths. You got this. And release. Nice job. Come into tabletop. If you want, move around. Maybe some cat cows. That locust pose can feel intense. We're going to revisit that bird dog move that we saw in the beginning of class. So you're going to send your right foot behind you. Now remember, you always have the option to keep your foot kickstand on the ground. Right when that foot lifts, resist the urge to have your hip come up. Left hand's going to come out in front of you. And we're going to do some bird dog crunches here. So this is slow. And it's got some balance. On an inhale, you lengthen in front and behind you. On exhale, you round your back, pull your belly in, and touch your elbow to your knee, or whatever range of motion you have. And then you just continue to do that. We're staying on the same side with your breath. Now, there's one more option if you're looking for a little bit more of a balance challenge and a heart opener. Okay. Inhale out. You do your crunch. You inhale. This time your left hand is going to reach behind you for the inside of your left foot. Okay, that's your exhale. This right here is a balance challenge. And on your next inhale, you stamp your foot on the ceiling and see how it's drawing open that left side of my chest. Okay? That's your inhale to open here and exhale down. Try it again. Inhale. Exhale to crunch. Inhale. Exhale, reach behind you. Inhale, up and open. Exhale down. One more time. If not, you're still just crunching or holding with your foot behind you. It's kind of like, try it, and if it's like, whoop. And back to tabletop. You got core there. You got balancing, working on those little stabilizing muscles. Not going on. While also opening in our hip and our shoulders. Bam. Okay. Let's go to our opposite side. Left foot, right hand. We're just going to start with the crunches. Or remember, your foot stays down. Maybe you're just stretching across your body there. And once you've watched me and figured it out, then your gaze comes back to your mat. So you don't want to be doing this with your neck cranked sideways like I am. And again, if you want to add on that balance, after you've crunched, inhale out. Exhale, right hand grabs the inside of your left foot. And then you stamp the ceiling, lifting open that right chest. And release. And do it again. One more time. And release. Nice job. Something kind of new, kind of different. Spicing it up. All right, let's meet in downward facing dog. We're going to come into a low lunge. Right leg. This might be the spot where you want something under your left knee. We're here for 5 breaths. You sink into that left hip. Maybe you need to walk your right foot forward. Stay open in your chest. Our hands are going to come on either side of our foot. We're going to curl our back toe and come to a runner's lunge. So I shift forward a bit. Now you want to keep your right knee towards your center line here. But you should still feel an opening in your left hip and some compression in your right. And then on an inhale, you'll sweep your right arm up this dragonfly twist. We see this in our stretching. Again, energetically pulling your legs together so they're not bowing out. One more breath in. Hand comes down. Now you're going to walk your back foot in or step it in. We're going to come into pyramid pose. So my right and my left foot are in their own lanes. So it's not like I'm on a balance beam. They've got their own right and left side. All 4 corners of my feet are pressing into the mat. If you're too wide, your heel comes up. From here, let your chest melt into your right thigh. Keep a slight bend in your knees. You should feel this in your hamstring, in the front of your hip. Let go of the tension in your neck. We're going to meet back in downward facing dog. I'm going to step my left foot further back than my right and shift my hips up. We're going to do all those on the other side. So starting with the low lunge. If one of these feels particularly great and you want to linger there, feel free to do that. Maybe you're pausing the video. Maybe you're just staying. And she's calling something else, I'm staying here. That's fine. But don't bother me a bit. Again, I'm sending my breath to the front of my right hip. Like visualize it. 3 more breaths here. Coming into a runner's lunge. Hands come down, up on the toe, shift forward. Hands are surrounding my foot. My knee is staying towards my center line. Again, I can still feel this in the front of my right hip. Now I feel that compression in the top of my left. And then if you want, you've got this twist. So again, I'm still hugging my knee in towards my center line. Slight bend in my right elbow. Now we're going to come into pyramid. So hands are going to come down, and we're going to step that right foot in. Remember, again, they've got their own lanes. Pull your belly up and in here, and then soften towards your leg. And again, if your back heel is popped up, walk it in. Pull a little bit closer to the front of your mat. Soften that space between your eyes. All right, we're gonna meet seated on our mats. We're gonna come into a wide leg straddle fold here. So it's extra hamstring love for getting our hips and low back. So take your legs as wide out as feels comfortable, and you might want to prop here like a block. First thing we're gonna do is really ground down to our sits bones, and we're gonna maintain length in our spine here. So the goal isn't to slump forward here. It's really to try to stay long and then to fold forward. So I'm gonna inhale my arms up. And exhale, I'm gonna place them in front of me, and then this is, your chance to see what works for you. You might be barely hinged forward, and this feels meaningful in your hamstrings, hips, and back. Great. You might be able to walk down to your forearms. Maybe you're in between. Block, book, anything to bring your mat closer to you. Maybe you've got forearms, and again, resist the urge to just totally round your back and curve into it. Try to keep that length in your spine and find that hinging from your hips. So you're getting closer to the earth, not because your back is rounding, but because you're hinging more forward. And some of us might be, actually able to walk even further down. Just find a level that's meaningful for you. And we're gonna hang out here for several breaths. Maybe you've got your head resting on a block. And this is where we start to settle into that stillness. So if immediately your mind starts ramping up, like it's channel surfing and all the thoughts are just flying in, change it to the breath channel. And I love this. If the thoughts are loud, breathe louder. When your mind starts to wander, come back. Again, no judgment. Just, oh, my mind's left the building. Come back. This might be a spot where you revisit some of those positive affirmations. Call to mind 3, 4, 5 of the phrases that you want to tell yourself right now. Take 5 more breaths in this shape. Slowly begin to walk yourself out of it. We're going to bring both our legs in front of us. We're going to take another fold, but this time with our legs together. Take your time here. Inhale up. Exhale, soften forward. Grabbing for your shins or maybe your toes. Feeling extra loose, maybe a block behind your feet. Just a few breaths here. You feel that opening you're creating in your low back. Relax your neck. Inhale back up. We're going to come onto our backs. I'm going to call a yogi's choice here. We got one more time for one more move. So supine twist, Supta Konasana, where the soles of your feet are together. I'm going to happy baby it. So I'm going to move a little bit. So if you're joining me for that, remember that you want to still draw your tailbone down towards your mat and not crank it up like this. Just find a movement that feels right. If there's a move you really wanted to do today that we didn't, maybe you pause and do that here, because you're allowed to do that. A few more breaths here. When you feel complete, we're going to meet in our Shavasana. And again, I'm going to invite you to take up space on your mat. If you are struggling today, remember this. You have survived everything you've gone through up to this point. The best day of your life is still yet to come. There are still people you haven't met and things you haven't experienced. You can do this. Let's start to gently bring movement, life, and energy, starting with our fingers and our toes, and moving to our wrists and our ankles, and gently swaying your head, getting that good morning stretch, and then roll onto your side. With one hand on your heart, take a moment of gratitude to thank yourself for showing up today. A moment of gratitude for your support system and all the teachers that you've had in your life who have helped you learn and grow. And then we'll meet in an easy seated pose. Hands come to heart center, eyes can stay shut. Let's take 3 breaths together. Take a big breath in. Let it go. 2 more, let's do it. One more. The light and love that lives inside of me sees and honors that light and love that lives inside of you. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed today's practice. So glad that we can connect in this way. Talk to y'all later.